So could you please tell us a little bit about your research?
My research is at the intersection of statistics and biology. Most of the questions I was excited about were curiosity driven. You first need to be interested, and second, you need to be good at it, which means that you feel the process. You find the process bearable.
This is Professor Jessica Lee from UCLA, an incredible and inspiring statistician and biologist. Professor Lee has won countless awards such as the 2023 Overton Award, the Sloan Fellowship Award, and the recent Guggenheim Fellowship. She has made massive contributions to the fields of statistics and biology.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Eyoung, and today I'm here with Professor Jessica Lee from UCLA.
Hi Eyoung, very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for coming over and talk to me.
Today I'm here with Professor Jessica Lee from UCLA. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me here.
So could you please tell us a little bit about your research?
My research is at the intersection of statistics and biology. In particular, we focus on developing statistical methods for analyzing cutting-edge biological data, mostly high-throughput data, which means that you can measure tens of thousands of genes or proteins together in one experiment. Then how do you analyze the data? How do you analyze them effectively and rigorously to generate new scientific hypotheses or to confirm scientific hypotheses using the data? So basically, to do those analysis, we need a lot of new methods, especially if the data type is new or the technology is new. Then how to analyze the data most effectively is often an open question. So then we try to focus on developing new methods to address those challenges.
That sounds really interesting.
Thank you.
So how does your research agenda evolve? What was the most exciting project you've done?
Very good question. Over the years, I would say most of the questions I was excited about were curiosity driven. For example, one project I started towards the end of my PhD was with a biochemist at Berkeley. So we collaborated over the years. At that time, he noticed that there was a Nature paper in which the researchers for the first time measures the transcriptome, which means all the RNA expression levels, and the proteome, the protein expression levels, and the translational rate. So they had the high-throughput measurements for many steps in the central dogma, which describes the process from DNA to RNA to protein. Then this Nature paper made a very shocking claim that they found the step from RNA to protein called translation contributes more to the final protein expression levels in our cells than transcription, which is from DNA to RNA does. And this is a shocking finding because most of the technologies or most of the data we collect are at the RNA level, which means that we only measure gene expression at the RNA level, not the protein level. And the fundamental reason for this is measuring protein is more difficult, and we don't have as many techniques as RNA.
Yeah, it sounds really important. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about the junction between biology and statistics lab you're leading? Like, what is it about?
So my lab has most graduate students, and right now we have one postdoc, and we will have another postdoc joining us. Most of my students have statistics training, so they are statistics students, but they must be interested in scientific questions. So usually when they first join my lab, they have very little or limited knowledge of biology, maybe high school level biology. But if they are willing to learn, they can usually pick up a topic that needs statistical expertise and make contribution to that. So how it usually works is that for junior students, I will usually propose several topics to them, or I will let them join a senior student's project to be a helper in the beginning and learn from the process. Like, how do we carry out the project? How do we wrap it up? And how do we write the manuscript and submission? So once they go through this whole process once, then they will be more capable of leading their independent project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump back to your professional life.
Yeah.
You do research on both statistics and biology. Would you consider yourself as a biologist or a methodologist?
That's a very good question. I would say I hope to be both. But maybe so far my work is more on the method side. But I hope they have some biological relevance, given statistics has evolved for how many? More than 100 years, right? It has become a very mature field. I would say it will be more and more difficult to have fundamental methodological problems that can be applied to any field. And the method to be developed will most likely to be specific to a domain.
What drove you to become a statistician and also a biologist? Were there any events that turned you into who you are today?
Very good question. I would say I wanted to be a scientist, or I wanted to do research from very early on, maybe in high school. And at that time, I think when I look at myself, I consider what strength I have, right? What are the unique strengths I have compared to others? So there are several factors I'll always consider. First of all, whether I enjoy doing this thing. And second, whether I'm good at doing this. And third, whether I can make some unique contributions.
Wow, it's so cool how you just knew your path at such a young age. So what would your advice to aspiring high school biologists be?
I think still the three things I said. So first of all, do you like research? When you read those scientific papers, do you find excitement? That's the first thing. Second, you must endure the boring process during the research. Well, so looking at the findings can be exciting, but to achieve those or to obtain those findings is usually a long process and usually unpredictable. When you start a project, it's hard to say whether it will be successful or not. So you must have the patience to go through the process. So that's why you first need to be interested, and second, you need to be good at it, which means that you feel the process. You find the process bearable. You cannot be so torn out by the process. And third is whether you think you have some unique strength, right? So I usually don't suggest my students to work on the problems that many people are already working on, because it will become like a competition among yourselves, right? Then it became who is the fastest, not whether I can solve the problem. And such pressure, I don't think it's healthy in the long run.
Well, thank you for your time today. It was really interesting to ask you these questions and find the answers to them.
Thank you for these excellent questions.
Thank you so much for your time today.
It was great talking to you.
If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. See you next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.